The rifle clattered to the concrete floor. Master Chief Cole Harrison had just ripped it from her hands, certain this tiny woman would crumble. He was wrong. 63 seconds later, 5 Navy SEALs lay groaning on the training mats, and Maya Reeves hadn't even broken a sweat. She stood over them, 5'2", 115 pounds, with eyes cold as Arctic ice. "My father taught me that move," she said quietly, "right before someone on your team murdered him." Naval Special Warfare Command, San Diego. Tuesday, 600 hours. The day everything changed. If you want to see how one woman brought the most elite warriors in America to their knees, subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the very end. Drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We want to see how far this story travels. The shooting range at Naval Special Warfare Command fell silent the moment she walked through the door. 5 Navy SEALs stood in a loose semicircle, arms crossed, watching the woman who had just invaded their world. She was small, impossibly small. 5'2" at most, with raven black hair pulled into a tight ponytail, and eyes the color of winter ice. She wore tactical pants and a simple black shirt, and she carried herself with a stillness that made dangerous men pay attention. Master Chief Cole Harrison stepped forward, 45 years old, face carved with scars from 2 decades of warfare. He had seen 1,000 hopefuls wash out of SEAL training. This one wouldn't last 5 minutes. "You lost, sweetheart." His voice carried the edge of a man who had earned every syllable through blood and pain. "Yoga class is down the street." The woman didn't flinch. She met his gaze with those ice-blue eyes, and something flickered there. Something that made Harrison's instincts whisper a warning he chose to ignore. "My name is Maya Reeves," she said. Her voice was quiet, but carried perfectly in the concrete space. "I'm here to join your unit." Behind Harrison, one of the SEALs laughed, a sharp, dismissive bark. Dominic Cruz, nicknamed Viper for his sniper skills, shook his head slowly. "This is a joke, right, Chief? Tell me Command is pranking us." Harrison reached out and pulled the M4A1 rifle from Maya's hands. The weapon looked oversized against her small frame, a deliberate show of dominance. "This isn't a playground for tourists," he said coldly. "This is where warriors train. You want to play soldier, there's a theme park in Orlando." Maya didn't reach for the rifle. Instead, she stepped back and raised her empty hands, palms forward. "1 minute," she said calmly. "1 minute to do what?" Cruz's voice dripped contempt. "Cry, to prove you wrong." The range went quiet again. Harrison studied her face, looking for the crack. The moment when reality would sink in and she would back down. He had seen it 1,000 times. Civilians who thought they could hang with the best of the best until they actually had to step up. But Maya Reeves's eyes never wavered. "Here's the deal," she said, her voice steady as bedrock. "You 5, me, hand-to-hand combat. No weapons, no rules. You put me down, I leave, and never come back." She paused, and a cold smile touched her lips. "I put all 5 of you down. You hear what I have to say." Harrison felt his jaw tighten. The audacity of it was almost impressive. "You want to go 1 against 5 against Navy SEALs barehanded?" "I want 63 seconds, Maya said. "That's all I need." Something in the way she said that number made Harrison pause. 63 seconds. Why that specific number? Marcus Webb stepped forward. Explosive specialist built like a tank hands that could crush skulls. "Chief, if she wants to embarrass herself, let her. 5 minutes from now, she'll be crying in the parking lot. Harrison looked back at Maya. You understand what you're asking. We don't pull punches. We don't go easy. This isn't a game. I know exactly what this is, Maya replied. Do we have a deal? Harrison handed the M4 to Webb. Around him, 4 more SEALs moved into position. Dominic Cruz rolled his shoulders. Tyler Oates, the combat medic, cracked his knuckles. Jonas Blackwell, communications expert, bounced on his heels. Your funeral, Harrison said. They formed a circle around her. 5 elite warriors against 1 small woman. The math was simple. The outcome was certain. Or so they thought. Maya stood perfectly still in the center. Her hands hung loose at her sides. Her breathing was slow, controlled. She looked almost bored. 63 seconds, she said quietly. Starting now. Webb moved first. He was the biggest, the most confident. He lunged forward, reaching for her arm, planning to simply grab her and throw her to the ground. Maya wasn't there. She had already shifted a flowing sidestep that seemed to violate physics. Her hand caught Webb's wrist as he passed, redirected his momentum, and suddenly the 240-pound explosives expert was airborne. He hit the mat hard. Before his brain could process what happened, Maya's knee was on his throat, her fingers pressing into a nerve cluster behind his ear. Webb's eyes rolled back. 4 seconds. Harrison came next, cutting in fast, 2 decades of combat experience driving his movements. But Maya wasn't where she should have been. She had used a footwork pattern he had only seen once before, a gliding sidestep that put her exactly where she needed to be. Her elbow drove into his solar plexus. As he doubled over, her palm struck upward, catching his chin. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to scramble his equilibrium. Harrison went down. 12 seconds. Cruz tried to flank her, moving silent and low. He was fast, precise, trained to kill without hesitation. But in close quarters, speed meant nothing without timing. Maya dropped, swept his legs, and as Cruz fell, she caught his arm, twisted, and applied pressure to the elbow joint. Cruz tapped out before his arm broke. 19 seconds. Oates and Blackwell attacked together. Coordinated. Professional. Coming from both sides in a pincer movement that should have been impossible to counter. Maya exploded into motion. She ducked under Oates's punch, drove her shoulder into his midsection, used his own momentum to spin him into Blackwell. As they collided, she struck. Pressure point on Oates's neck. Joint lock on Blackwell's wrist. Both men hit the ground in the same heartbeat. 38 seconds. Webb was getting up. Big mistake. Maya closed the distance before he could set himself. 3 strikes. Throat, solar plexus, groin. Webb dropped again, this time staying down. 47 seconds. Harrison struggled to his feet, vision still blurred. He saw Maya standing in the center of the mat, not even breathing hard. Around her, his team groaned and cursed. He charged. Last desperate attempt. Overwhelming force. Maya sidestepped. That same impossible gliding movement. Her hand caught his collar. Her hip turned into his momentum, and Harrison found himself flying through the air. He landed hard. Looked up to find Maya's boot resting gently on his chest. Her ice blue eyes stared down at him without emotion. 63 seconds, she said. Exactly. The training room was silent, except for the heavy breathing of 5 defeated men. Harrison stared at the ceiling, his mind racing. That footwork, that technique. He had only seen one person move like that in his entire career. That style, he said slowly, pushing himself up on his elbows. The way you moved. I've only seen one person fight like that. Maya removed her boot from his chest and stepped back. Captain Daniel Reeves, she said quietly. United States Navy SEAL. Call sign Ghost. She paused, and for the first time Harrison saw emotion flicker across her face. My father. The name hit like a physical blow. Ghost Reeves. Harrison had served with Ghost in Fallujah back in 2007, when the city was a meat grinder, and every street corner could be your last. Ghost had saved his life twice. Once pulling him from a burning Humvee, once dragging him to cover when an IED turned the world into fire and shrapnel. Ghost Reeves, who had set an impossible record in this very facility in 1999. 63 seconds. Unarmed combat against 5 opponents, a record nobody had touched in 25 years. Ghost Reeves, who had died in Yemen 8 years ago executing some classified mission that would never see the light of day. Jesus Christ, Harrison breathed. You're Ghost's daughter. Maya nodded once, precise as a rifle shot. The moment hung there suspended in sweat and the weight of memory. Then Harrison struggled to his feet and extended his hand. Your father, he said, his voice rough, was the finest operator I ever knew. He saved my life. I owe him everything. Maya took his hand. Her grip was firm, her eyes locked on his. Then help me, she said. Help me find out who murdered him. The silence that followed was absolute. Cruz was the first to break it, limping forward with one hand pressed against his ribs. What are you talking about? Ghost died in Yemen. Combat casualty. Classified op. That's what the official report says, Maya replied, her voice steady. But it's not the truth. Webb moved closer, his expression unreadable. That's a serious accusation, Miss Reeves. It's the truth. Maya's ice-blue eyes swept across all of them. My father was murdered, shot by someone wearing an American uniform, and I intend to find out who. Harrison's face had gone pale. How do you know this? Because I have proof. The training room suddenly felt too small, charged with tension and unasked questions. Harrison looked at his team, then back at Maya. My office, he said quietly. Now. They walked in silence through the corridor. Maya could feel their eyes on her back. Suspicion. Curiosity. And underneath it all, the beginning of something else. Fear. Good, she thought. They should be afraid. Because one of them might be a killer. Harrison's office was Spartan. Desk chairs, American flag on the wall. Photos of operations of fallen brothers of a life spent in service. Maya noticed a photograph on his desk. Harrison younger, standing next to a man with her father's smile. Sit, Harrison said, closing the door. The other 4 SEALs arranged themselves around the room. Cruz leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Webb stood near the window. Oates sat in a corner chair. Blackwell remained standing by the door. Maya remained standing. 8 years ago, she began. My father deployed on Operation Desert Storm, 8-man SEAL team. Yemen. The official objective was gathering intelligence on weapons caches. I remember, Harrison said quietly. I was supposed to be on that mission, got pulled at the last minute for another op. Lucky you. Maya's voice was flat. The real objective was recovering stolen American bioweapon prototypes that had ended up in enemy hands. Cruz shifted uncomfortably. Bioweapons. That's above our pay grade. The mission went wrong, Maya continued. Intel said 3 hostiles at the target location. They hit 12. Someone had tipped off the enemy. That happens, Webb said. Intel failures. It's war. This wasn't a failure. Maya pulled out her phone, called up a video file. This is helmet cam footage from Lieutenant Morrison. Timestamp 2347 March 15th, 8 years ago. She turned the phone around so they could see. The footage was grainy, chaotic. Muzzle flashes, men running. And then a figure emerged. Hands raised. Weapon on the ground. Her father. Ghost Reeves. Surrendering. To someone in an American uniform. The camera angle shifted. The person receiving the surrender stepped closer. A single shot. Ghost dropped. "My God," Oates whispered. Harrison's face had turned to stone. "That footage doesn't exist. It was classified. Destroyed." "Someone kept a copy," Maya said. "Someone who wanted the truth to come out eventually." "Who sent this to you?" Cruz demanded. "Admiral Victor Crane. He was my father's commanding officer. He's been investigating this for years." Maya paused. "He's dying, ALS. 6 months left, maybe less. He couldn't finish the investigation alone, so he came to me." Blackwell spoke for the first time, his voice careful. "Even if this footage is real, it doesn't prove murder. Could be enemy combatant in stolen gear. Could be what?" Maya cut him off. "My father surrendered. He was unarmed, and someone executed him." She looked at each of them in turn. Someone who knew exactly where the team would be. Someone who knew exactly how to make it look like a combat casualty. Someone who's been hiding the truth for 8 years. Harrison stood slowly. His hands were trembling. "You're saying one of us killed Ghost?" "I'm saying someone on that mission killed my father. 7 men came back alive. One of them is a murderer." The room exploded. "That's insane," Cruz shouted. "Ghost was family none of us would—" "Somebody did." Maya's voice cut through like a blade. "Somebody shot an unarmed man in the back. Somebody filed false reports. Somebody buried the evidence." Webb stepped forward, his massive frame blocking the light. "You come in here, beat us down, and then accuse us of killing your father. Who the hell do you think you are?" "I'm the woman my father trained since childhood." Maya didn't back down. "I'm the one person he trusted with everything he knew, and I'm the only one who's going to find out the truth." Harrison raised his hand. "Enough." The room went quiet. "Maya," Harrison's voice was heavy, "I loved your father like a brother. If what you're showing me is real, if someone murdered him, I want to know who. But you're asking me to believe that one of my men, one of the finest operators in the world, committed treason. I'm asking you to help me find evidence." Maya met his eyes. "Admiral Crane has been tracking Money Trail's communications, everything Prometheus." "Prometheus," Blackwell interrupted sharply. "What's Prometheus?" Maya noticed the reaction, filed it away. "Codename. Someone has been selling classified weapons technology for over 20 years. My father discovered the network. He was about to expose it." "So they killed him," Harrison finished quietly. "Yes." Cruz ran a hand through his hair. "This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. There were 7 men on that mission who came back alive," Maya said. "Master Chief Cole Harrison, Lieutenant Dominic Cruz, Sergeant Marcus Webb, Corporal Tyler Oates, Specialist Jonas Blackwell, Gunnery Sergeant Luther Kane, and Colonel Victor Ashworth, Pentagon Liaison." She paused. "One of you is Prometheus. One of you murdered my father, and I'm going to find out which one." Harrison looked at his men. At the faces he had trusted for years. At brothers who had bled beside him in a dozen war zones. "You have proof of any of this? Beyond that video?" "Admiral Crane has financial records, transaction logs, communications intercepts. The full picture is still coming together, but the trail leads back to Operation Desert Storm. Back to that night." Webb shook his head. "Why should we believe any of this?" "You could have faked that video. Could be some elaborate con." "Then verify it." Maya tossed her phone to Harrison. "Send it to your intelligence contacts. Have them authenticate it. If it's fake, I'll walk away and never bother you again. Harrison caught the phone, looked at the frozen image on the screen. Her father's hands raised a split second before death. And if it's real, then you help me find the killer. Maya's voice was ice. Or you're protecting a traitor. The silence stretched for a long moment. Harrison looked at his team, at Cruz's defensive anger, at Webb's barely contained hostility, at Oates's quiet watchfulness, at Blackwell's calculated stillness. One of them might be a murderer, or none of them, or all of them were innocent, and the killer was someone else. Luther Kane retired, or Colonel Ashworth buried deep in the Pentagon. But someone had pulled that trigger. Someone had ended Ghost Reeves's life. And Harrison had spent the last 8 years mourning a hero without knowing the truth. I'll verify the footage, he said finally. If it's authentic, then we talk. Until then, you stay on base, under observation. I'm not your prisoner. No, your ghost's daughter, and that means something to me. Harrison met her eyes. It also means I'm not letting you out of my sight until I know what the hell is really going on. Maya considered this, then nodded slowly. Fair enough? Cruz stepped forward. Chief, you can't seriously be entertaining this. She just walked in here and she just put all 5 of us on the ground in 63 seconds. Harrison cut him off. Ghost's record, Ghost's technique, Ghost's daughter. He looked at Maya with something close to respect. She earned the right to be heard. The door opened. A young officer stepped in, saw the tension in the room, hesitated. Sir, you have a call. Priority 1. Admiral Crane. Maya's head snapped toward Harrison. Put it through, Harrison ordered. The phone on his desk buzzed. Harrison hit speaker. Master Chief Harrison. Admiral Crane's voice was weak, ravaged by disease, but still carried command authority. I assume Maya Reeves has arrived. She has, sir. Good. Then you've seen the footage. I've seen something that claims to be footage. Sir, with respect, this is authentic, Crane interrupted. I've had it verified by 3 independent forensic labs. Chain of custody is solid. What you saw is real. Ghost Reeves was murdered by someone in American uniform. Harrison closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were hard. Why now, Admiral? Why, after 8 years? Because I'm dying, Master Chief. And because 3 weeks ago I received new evidence, financial records that trace directly to the killer, or at least to the network that paid for the kill. Prometheus, Maya said. Yes. Someone has been running a weapons trafficking operation for 2 decades. Ghost discovered it. He was about to blow the whistle. So they silenced him. Webb leaned forward. Who's they, sir? That's what Maya is going to find out, with your help. Cruz shook his head. Admiral, this is insane. You're asking us to investigate our own brothers based on evidence, Lieutenant. Hard evidence. Financial trails that lead to specific individuals. Communications intercepts that prove coordination with hostile forces. Crane's voice hardened. One of the 7 men on that mission is a traitor. One of them has been selling American secrets for 20 years. One of them murdered Ghost Reeves. The room was silent. I'm attaching you to Admiral Crane's investigation, Harrison said slowly. All of you. Effective immediately. What? Cruz looked stunned. If one of us is guilty, then we find the proof. If we're all innocent, then we clear our names and find the real killer. Harrison stood straighter. Either way, Ghost deserves the truth. Crane's voice came through the speaker again. Master Chief, there's something else. The financial records I received 3 weeks ago, they trace to a company called Aegis Global. Defense contractor, weapons systems integration. Webb went very still. Aegis Global, Maya said quietly, watching his reaction. Interesting. Why interesting? Oates asked. Because Marcus Webb works for Aegis Global. Maya turned to face the big man. Don't you, Sergeant? Every eye in the room shifted to Webb. His face was unreadable. I do contract work for them. Security consulting. That's not a crime. No, Maya agreed. But if Aegis is connected to my father's murder, then your employment there becomes very interesting. Webb's hands clenched into fists. You're accusing me. I'm asking questions. That's all. Like hell. Webb stepped toward her. You come in here throwing accusations, showing fake videos, trying to turn us against each other. Enough! Harrison's voice cracked like a whip. Stand down, Webb. Chief, I said stand down. Webb stopped. His chest heaved with barely contained rage. Crane's voice filled the silence. The investigation starts now. Maya has been trained for this. She has skills none of you possess. Trust her. With respect, Admiral, Cruz said, trusting someone who just accused us of murder isn't exactly easy. Then earn each other's trust. Find the truth together. Crane coughed, a wet, terrible sound. I won't live long enough to see this through. But Maya will, and so will you if you're smart. The line went dead. Harrison looked at Maya for a long moment, then at his team. You heard the Admiral. We work together. We find the truth. He paused. And if one of us is guilty, then God help them. Because I won't. Maya nodded slowly. This was what she had come for. Access. Proximity. The chance to find her father's killer hiding among the men who had served beside him. One of them was Prometheus. One of them had looked her father in the eye and pulled the trigger. And she would find out which one no matter what it cost. Where do we start? Oates asked quietly. Maya pulled out a flash drive. Admiral Crane's evidence, financial records, communications, intercepts, timeline analysis, everything he's gathered over 8 years. She set the drive on Harrison's desk. We start by following the money. Someone received $3.2 million the day before my father died. An offshore account routed through shell companies, but traceable if you know where to look. 3.2 million, Blackwell murmured. That's a lot of money for one kill. It wasn't just for the kill, Maya said. It was for the bioweapons, for the intelligence, for 20 years of silence. She looked at each of them in turn. Someone in this room might know exactly what I'm talking about. The tension was thick enough to cut. Cruz broke first. Fine, we investigate. But when this is over, when we prove we're all innocent, you owe us an apology. If you're innocent, Maya said, you'll have it. And if one of us isn't... Maya's ice-blue eyes went cold. Then I'll finish what my father started. The words hung in the air like a promise. And somewhere in that room, a killer was already planning their next move. The flash drive changed everything. Harrison plugged it into his secure laptop, and for the next 3 hours, the room was silent, except for the clicking of keys and the occasional sharp intake of breath. Financial records scrolled across the screen. Transaction logs. Communication intercepts. 8 years of Admiral Crane's obsessive investigation laid bare. Maya watched their faces. Cruz's jaw tightening with each new revelation. Oates's quiet horror as the scope of the conspiracy became clear. Blackwell's calculated stillness, his eyes never leaving the screen. And Webb standing apart from the others, his massive frame rigid with tension. This is impossible, Cruz muttered. 20 years. They've been running this network for 20 years. Longer, probably, Maya replied. My father only discovered a piece of it. That piece got him killed. Harrison pulled up a specific file. Bank records from an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Deposits totaling $3.2 million made March 14th, 8 years ago. One day before Operation Desert Storm. The payment was routed through 17 shell companies, Harrison said slowly. But Crane traced it back to the source. Aegis Global, Maya finished. Every eye turned to Webb. I told you I do security consulting, Webb said, his voice tight. That doesn't mean I know anything about offshore payments. Then you won't mind if we dig deeper. Maya stepped closer to the screen. Aegis Global has contracts worth $4.7 billion with the Department of Defense, weapons systems, communications technology, logistics support. So they're a big contractor, Oates said. That's not unusual. What's unusual is the pattern. Maya pulled up another file. Every time Aegis lands a major contract, a competitor suddenly faces problems. Leaked specifications, failed security audits, executive scandals that come out of nowhere. Blackwell leaned forward. You're saying Aegis is playing dirty? I'm saying someone inside Aegis has access to classified intelligence, someone who uses that access to eliminate competition and secure contracts. Maya turned to face Webb. Someone who might have military connections. Webb's hands clenched into fists. You're accusing me of treason. I'm stating facts. You work for Aegis. You were on the mission where my father was murdered, and the payment that funded his death came from your employer. Circumstantial, Webb growled. None of that proves anything. Then help me prove you're innocent. Maya's voice was ice. Open your financial records. Show me there's no connection. The room went still. Webb's face flushed red. Like hell I will. You don't have the authority to— She doesn't, Harrison interrupted. But I do. Webb turned to the Master Chief, shock evident in his eyes. Chief, you can't be serious. I'm dead serious. Harrison stood his scarred face hard as granite. Ghost Reeves saved my life. Twice. If there's any chance one of us is responsible for his death, I want to know. All of us open our records. All of us cooperate fully. Including you, Cruz asked quietly. Including me. Harrison met his gaze. I've got nothing to hide. Do you— The challenge hung in the air. One by one the SEALs nodded. Cruz, Oates, Blackwell, finally reluctantly Webb. Fine, Webb said through gritted teeth. But when this is over, when you find nothing, I want a formal apology. From all of you. If you're clean, you'll get it, Maya replied. But right now we have work to do. She pulled up another file. A list of 7 names. The 7 men who had returned from Operation Desert Storm. My father discovered the network 3 days before the mission. He didn't know who was involved, but he knew the bioweapons theft wasn't random. Someone inside our government had arranged it. Arranged it? Oates looked confused. Why would anyone arrange for bioweapons to end up with terrorists? Money, Maya said simply. The weapons were supposed to be recovered during the mission. The recovery would justify a massive increase in defense spending, new contracts, new programs, billions of dollars flowing to the right people. But Ghost found out, Harrison said slowly. He found out, and he was going to report it when he got back. Maya's voice hardened. Someone made sure he never got the chance. Cruz ran a hand through his hair. This is insane. You're talking about a conspiracy at the highest levels of government. I'm talking about treason, Maya corrected. And the traitor is one of 7 people. She pointed at the screen. Colonel Victor Ashworth, Pentagon liaison, filed my father's death report. Had the authority to classify the helmet cam footage. Ashworth's untouchable, Blackwell said quietly. 2-star general now. Friends in Congress. Friends in the White House. No one's untouchable. Maya moved to the next name. Luther Kane. Weapons specialist. Retired 5 years ago. Lives in Montana now. Luther. Harrison shook his head. I've known him for 20 years. He's solid. He's also living 30 miles from where I grew up. 30 miles from the cabin where my father taught me everything I know. Maya's eyes narrowed. Interesting coincidence, don't you think? Harrison's face went pale. You think he was watching you? I think someone's been watching me for a long time, waiting to see if I'd start asking questions. She moved to the next name. Her finger hovered over the screen. Specialist Jonas Blackwell, communications expert. Had access to all encrypted channels during the mission. Could have warned the enemy about our approach. Blackwell's expression didn't change, but his posture shifted slightly. Defensive. I was doing my job, he said carefully. Running comms, coordinating with command. That's all. You were also the only one with access to the satellite uplink. The only one who could have sent an unauthorized transmission without anyone knowing. Could have, Blackwell repeated. Doesn't mean I did. No, Maya agreed. But it means you had the capability. That puts you on the list. She continued down the names. Tyler Oates, combat medic. Knew exactly how to make a murder look like a combat casualty. Dominic Cruz, sniper expert. Had the skills to take the shot that killed her father. Marcus Webb, explosive specialist. Currently employed by the company that funded the assassination. And Cole Harrison himself. You're not exempt, Master Chief, Maya said quietly. You were Ghost's closest friend. You knew his movements, his plans, his investigation. If anyone could have betrayed him, it was you. Harrison's jaw tightened. I would have died for Ghost. Maybe. Or maybe that's what you want everyone to believe. The tension in the room was suffocating. 5 men each suddenly suspicious of the others, each wondering if the brother beside him was a traitor. This is exactly what they want, Cruz said suddenly. Whoever did this, they want us turning on each other. Distracted. Fighting ourselves instead of looking for the real killer. Maybe, Maya acknowledged. Or maybe the real killer is standing in this room hoping we'll give up before we find the truth. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her expression changed. Admiral Crane, she said, I have to take this. She stepped into the hallway, pressing the phone to her ear. Admiral, Crane's voice was weaker than before. The disease was progressing faster than expected. Maya, I have new information. What kind of information? The offshore account. I finally cracked the beneficial owner records. A pause filled with labored breathing. The account holder isn't who we thought. Maya's heart rate spiked. Who is it? The account is registered to a shell company called Prometheus Holdings. The beneficial owner is listed as Crane broke into a coughing fit. When he recovered, his voice was barely a whisper. Victor Ashworth. General Victor Ashworth. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. Are you certain? I've verified it 3 times. Ashworth received $3.2 million the day before your father died. He's Prometheus Maya. He's the one who ordered the kill. Maya leaned against the wall, her mind racing. Ashworth, the Pentagon general who had filed her father's death report, who had classified the helmet cam footage, who had buried the truth for 8 years. There's more, Crane continued. Ashworth isn't working alone. He has a network. People in the Pentagon and Congress in the intelligence community. And he has someone inside the SEAL teams. Who? I don't know yet, but there's a second payment. Smaller. $500,000 made to a different account 3 days after your father died. Payment for what? For the kill, Maya. Someone pulled the trigger that night. Ashworth gave the order, but someone else did the actual killing, and they were paid $500,000 for it. Maya closed her eyes. $500,000. The price of her father's life. Can you trace the second account? I'm working on it. But Maya, listen to me. You need to be careful. If Ashworth knows you're investigating, he'll come after you. He's killed before. He'll kill again. Let him try. Don't be reckless. Your father thought he could expose them alone. He was wrong. Crane's voice cracked. Don't make his mistake. I won't. Maya straightened. I have a team now. Harrison and his men. They want the truth as much as I do. Do they? One of them might be the killer, Maya. One of them took Ashworth's money and put a bullet in your father's back. I know. That's why I'm watching all of them. Watch carefully. And Maya. There's something else. I received a threat this morning. Anonymous. They know I've been investigating. They know I've been talking to you. Maya's grip tightened on the phone. What kind of threat? A photograph. My house. My wife's car. The message said, stop digging or lose everything. Crane laughed bitterly. I'm already dying. What else can they take from me? Your wife. She's safe. I've sent her to stay with relatives, but you should be careful too. If they're watching me, they're watching you. I've been careful. Not careful enough. I found something else in the records. Someone's been tracking your movements for the past 6 months. Credit card purchases, phone records, travel patterns. They know everywhere you've been, everyone you've talked to. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. How? I don't know yet, but it means they knew you were coming. They knew you'd show up at Harrison's base sooner or later. Crane paused. Maya, this could be a trap. The whole thing could be a trap. If it is, I'll spring it. Or it'll spring you. Another coughing fit. I have to go. I'll send what I've found to your secure server. Be careful, Maya. For your father's sake. The line went dead. Maya stood in the hallway for a long moment, processing what she'd learned. Ashworth was Prometheus. The general had ordered her father's death. But someone else had pulled the trigger. Someone who was paid $500,000. Someone who might be standing in the room she'd just left. She walked back in to find the 5 SEALs in heated argument. I'm telling you, this is a setup, Cruz was saying. Someone's manipulating us. Or someone's scared we'll find the truth, Harrison countered. What truth? We don't have any proof of anything. Just accusations and circumstantial evidence. We have the footage, Webb said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. The helmet cam footage, Webb continued. It shows someone in American uniform shooting Ghost. That's not circumstantial. That's direct evidence of murder. It's evidence that could have been faked, Cruz argued. It hasn't been faked, Maya said, stepping into the room. Admiral Crane had it verified by 3 independent forensic labs. Chain of custody is solid. What you saw is real. Then we need to find out who pulled the trigger, Harrison said. Can the footage be enhanced? Can we identify the shooter? Maya shook her head. The quality is too poor. The shooter's face is obscured, but Crane found something else. She told them about Ashworth, about the offshore account, about the $3.2 million payment, and about the second payment, $500,000 to an unknown account. Payment for the kill itself. The room went silent. So Ashworth gave the order, Oates said slowly. But someone else actually killed Ghost. Someone who was on that mission, Maya confirmed. Someone who had the opportunity and the skills. Someone who was paid $500,000 to murder their own teammate. And one of us is the prime suspect, Blackwell said quietly. All of you are suspects, Maya corrected. All 7, Ashworth, Kane, and the 5 of you in this room. Harrison stood slowly. His face was gray. If Ashworth is Prometheus, if he's really been running this network for 20 years, then he has resources we can't match. Contacts, protection, power. He also has secrets, Maya said. Secrets worth killing for. Secrets that could bring him down if they're exposed. You want to go after a 2-star general, Cruz said flatly. A man with friends in the Pentagon and Congress in the White House. You want to take him down. I want justice. For my father. For everyone else Ashworth has killed or compromised. Maya's voice hardened. And I'm going to get it with or without your help. Harrison looked at his team. At the men he'd served with, fought with, bled with. Men he trusted with his life. One of them might be a murderer, but all of them had a choice to make. I'm in, Harrison said quietly. Ghost deserves the truth, whatever it costs. Cruz hesitated, then nodded. I'm in. Me too, Oates added. Blackwell was silent for a long moment. Then, I'm in, but we do this smart. We gather evidence. We build a case. We don't go off half-cocked and get ourselves killed. Everyone looked at Webb. The big man's face was unreadable. He knew what they were thinking. His connection to Aegis made him the most obvious suspect. Every piece of evidence pointed toward him. I didn't kill Ghost, he said finally. And I'll prove it. I'm in. Maya studied his face, looking for the lie, for the tell that would reveal guilt. But Webb's eyes met hers without flinching. Either he was innocent, or he was the best actor she'd ever seen. Then we start with Aegis Global, Maya said. Crane traced the payment to their accounts. There has to be a paper trail, financial records that show exactly where the money went. Aegis headquarters is in Phoenix, Webb said. High security, biometric access, armed guards. You have access, Maya pointed out. Limited access, security consulting. I don't have clearance for their financial systems. But you know the layout. You know the security protocols. You can get us in. Webb stared at her. You want to break into a defense contractor's headquarters? I want to find my father's killer. Maya's voice was steel. Whatever it takes. Harrison stepped between them. This is insane. We can't just... His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face changed. Unknown number, he said. Text message. He read it aloud. Miss Reeves has her father's curiosity. Stop now or share his grave. We're watching. Attached was a photograph. Maya's apartment in San Diego, taken from across the street. Recent. She could see her car in the driveway. The newspaper she'd brought in that morning. They knew where she lived. They were watching. Ashworth's making his move, Cruz said grimly. No, Maya replied, her voice cold. He's making a mistake. She looked at the photograph again. At her home. At the life she'd built since her father's death. A life someone was threatening to destroy. Her father had received a similar threat 8 years ago. He'd ignored it, kept investigating. And they'd killed him for it. Maya wasn't her father. She was better. We hit Aegis tomorrow night, she said. We get the financial records, we find out who received that $500,000 payment, and then we burn Ashworth's network to the ground. Harrison opened his mouth to argue. Maya cut him off. My father spent his last days trying to expose these people. He trusted the system to protect him. He trusted his chain of command. He trusted his teammates. Her voice cracked slightly. One of them betrayed him, shot him in the back while he was surrendering. She looked at each man in turn. I don't trust the system. I don't trust the chain of command. And right now I don't fully trust any of you. She paused. But I trust myself. I trust the training my father gave me. And I trust that whoever killed him is going to pay. The room was silent. Then Harrison nodded slowly. Tomorrow night, he said. We hit Aegis. Cruz sighed. This is going to end badly. Maybe, Maya agreed. But it's going to end. One way or another. She picked up her phone, looked at the threatening photograph one more time. Then she deleted it. They want me scared, she said. They want me to run, to hide, to give up. She set the phone down. My father didn't run. He didn't hide. He stood his ground and fought for what was right. Her ice-blue eyes swept the room. I'm his daughter, and I'm just getting started. Somewhere in Washington, D.C., a secure phone rang. General Victor Ashworth answered on the second ring. Report. The voice on the other end was cold, professional. She's at the Naval Special Warfare Command. Harrison's protecting her. They're investigating. How much do they know? Enough to be dangerous. She has Crane's files, the financial records, the timeline. Ashworth's grip tightened on the phone. And the helmet cam footage? She has it. Showed it to Harrison's team. Silence. Can it be contained? Unknown. Crane uploaded copies to encrypted servers. If he has a dead man's switch. He does, Ashworth interrupted. I've seen his type before. True believers. They always have insurance. He paused. What about the girl? She's skilled, extremely skilled. Put 5 SEALs on the ground in 63 seconds. Impressive. She's dangerous, sir. More dangerous than her father. Ashworth smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Her father was dangerous too. We handled him. He walked to the window of his Pentagon office. Handle her the same way. And Harrison's team. Collateral damage. Make it clean. Make it deniable. Understood. The line went dead. Ashworth looked out at the Washington skyline. 20 years of careful work. Billions of dollars. Hundreds of assets. All of it threatened by one woman and a dying admiral. Ghost Reeves had been a problem. His daughter was proving to be a bigger one. But problems could be solved. Permanently. He picked up his phone again. Dialed a different number. Activate Protocol 7. Full team. No survivors. The hunt was about to begin. The flight to Phoenix took 3 hours. Maya spent every minute reviewing the Aegis global blueprints on her tablet, memorizing corridors, security checkpoints, camera positions. Beside her, Webb sat in rigid silence, his massive frame barely contained by the airline seat. 14th floor, Maya said quietly. That's where they keep the financial servers. Air-gapped system. No external network access. Webb nodded without looking at her. I know the building. Security rotates every 4 hours. 12 armed guards minimum. Biometric access on every floor above ground level. Can you get us past the biometrics? I can spoof them for 8 minutes, maybe 10 if we're lucky. After that, the system cycles through a backup protocol and locks everything down. Harrison leaned forward from the row behind them. 8 minutes to reach the 14th floor, access the servers, download the data, and get out. That's tight. That's impossible, Cruz muttered from across the aisle. My father did impossible things every day, Maya replied. He trained me to do the same. The plane landed at 1900 hours. They rented 2 vehicles, drove separately to a safe house Admiral Crane had arranged on the outskirts of the city, an anonymous apartment in a complex full of defense contractor families. Nobody would look twice at men with military bearing coming and going. Crane was waiting for them. Maya barely recognized him. The disease had advanced rapidly in the weeks since she'd last seen him in person. His frame was skeletal now, his hands trembling, his voice a whisper of what it had been. But his eyes were still sharp, still burning with the same determination that had kept him investigating for 8 years. You look terrible, Maya said quietly. I feel worse. Crane managed a weak smile. But I'm not dead yet, and neither is this investigation. He spread documents across the table. Building schematics, security protocols, employee schedules, everything they needed to infiltrate Aegis Global. The target is here, he said, pointing to the blueprint. Server room on the 14th floor. The financial records we need are stored on an isolated system. No network connection. The only way to access them is physical. Why would they keep records of illegal payments on any system? Oates asked. Arrogance, Crane replied. Ashworth has been running this network for 20 years. He thinks he's untouchable. The records are insurance. Proof that everyone in his network is equally guilty. Mutual destruction if anyone tries to betray him. Smart, Blackwell said quietly. Keeps everyone loyal. It's also his weakness. Crane coughed a wet sound that made everyone wince. Get those records and we have everything. Names, amounts, dates. Every person who's ever taken money from Prometheus. Maya studied the blueprints. Her father had taught her to read buildings like books, to find the places people didn't watch, the gaps in perception. Maintenance access on the roof, she said. HVAC system. We go in through there, drop into the ventilation network, crawl to the 14th floor. That's a 40-foot climb, Cruz pointed out. Then another 100 feet through ductwork. Can you handle it? Cruz's jaw tightened. I can handle anything you can handle. Then we go at Aero 200, security shift change. Guards are either tired from the old shift or not fully alert on the new one. 15-minute window of reduced effectiveness. Harrison nodded slowly. Who's on the team? Me and Webb. He knows the building. I know how to move. Maya looked at the others. Cruz provides sniper overwatch from the building across the street. Harrison and Oates stay in the vehicles ready for extraction. Blackwell monitors communications, warns us if anything goes wrong. And Crane? Oates asked. I run tech from here, Crane said. Monitor security frequencies, police channels. If they call for backup, you'll know before the cavalry arrives. Webb shifted uncomfortably. I still don't like this. If we get caught, we're done. Court-martial, prison. Maybe worse. If we don't do this, my father's killer walks free. Maya's voice was ice. Your choice. Webb met her eyes for a long moment. Then he nodded. Let's do it. They spent the next 4 hours preparing, checking equipment, running scenarios, memorizing every detail of the building layout. At 0100, they loaded into the vehicles and drove toward downtown Phoenix. The city was quiet at this hour. Streetlights casting orange pools on empty sidewalks. Distant sirens that had nothing to do with them. Maya sat in the passenger seat of Webb's truck, watching the Aegis Global Tower grow larger through the windshield. 15 floors of glass and steel. The digital heart of a company built on secrets. You really think we'll find something? Webb asked quietly. I know we will. And if it points to me, if I'm the one who took that money? Maya turned to look at him. His face was unreadable in the darkness. Did you? No. Then the evidence will prove that. And if it doesn't, evidence can be manufactured, planted, manipulated. Then we'll deal with that when it happens. Maya paused. But I'll tell you something, Webb. My father was the best judge of character I ever knew. He worked with you for 3 years. He trusted you. He trusted someone who killed him. Yes, but that someone wasn't acting alone. They were paid, ordered, part of a network. Maya's voice hardened. We find the network, we find the killer. That's what tonight is about. They parked 3 blocks from the target. Cruz split off, heading for his overwatch position with his rifle case slung over his shoulder. Harrison and Oates stayed with the vehicle's engines running, ready to move. Maya and Webb approached on foot. black tactical clothing, suppressed weapons. Night vision ready, but not engaged. Two shadows moving through a city of shadows. Cameras on the south corner, Webb whispered. Blind spot is 12 feet wide. We have 20 seconds to cross. They waited. A security patrol passed flashlight sweeping the perimeter. Maya counted heartbeats. 10, 20, 30. Now! They moved fast and low, reached the wall, pressed against it. Above them, the maintenance ladder disappeared into darkness. Webb went first. Maya followed. 40 feet straight up, handholds barely visible in the dim light. Her father's training took over. Her body finding holds moving with efficiency born from years of climbing rock faces in Montana. They reached the roof. The city spread out below them like a circuit board. Lights and darkness. Life and secrets. Webb produced tools from his pack, worked on the HVAC access grate. 90 seconds, and it came free. "We're in," he said quietly into his radio. "Copy," Blackwell's voice crackled. "Security sweep just past 14th floor. You have 8 minutes." They dropped into the ventilation system, crawling through sheet metal tunnels that amplified every sound. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from Crane. "Security sweep in progress. Hold position." They froze. Below, through a ventilation grill, Maya could see a guard walking the 14th floor hallway, flashlight sweeping. He paused directly below them. Maya didn't breathe. The guard moved on. "Clear," Crane's voice. "Move now." Webb removed the internal grill. They dropped into a supply closet. Empty. Dark. "Biometrics in 3, Webb whispered, checking his watch. 2, 1. He pulled out a small device, connected it to the door's access panel. Code scrolled across the screen. The lock clicked. 8 minutes. Starting now. They moved through the corridor like ghosts. Maya's father had taught her this. How to walk without sound. How to become invisible in plain sight. How to be the thing that enemies never saw coming. The server room was at the end of the hall. Another biometric lock. Webb bypassed it in 40 seconds. Inside, servers hummed, banks of equipment, blinking lights, the digital heart of Aegis Global's darkest secrets. Webb went to the main terminal. Maya stood guard by the door, weapon ready. "Downloading," Webb said. "This is going to take 6 minutes." 6 minutes. They'd already used 2. Maya watched the hallway. Nothing moved, but her instincts were screaming. Something was wrong. Her phone buzzed. Crane. "Multiple vehicles arriving. Armed personnel. Get out now." Maya turned. "We've got company. Downloads at 30%. I need 4 more minutes." "We don't have 4 minutes." Alarms shrieked to life. Red lights flashed. "They know we're here," Webb said, his voice tight. "How we didn't trip anything." "Someone tipped them off." Webb's face went pale. "Someone on our team." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. Someone had betrayed them. Someone in their inner circle had warned Aegis they were coming. "Keep downloading," she said. "I'll buy us time." "Maya." But she was already moving. Out the door, into the corridor. Her weapon up, ready for whatever was coming. The elevator doors opened. 4 security contractors poured out. Body armor, assault rifles, professional killers moving with military precision. Maya dropped the first one before they saw her. 2 shots, center mass. He went down hard. The others scattered, seeking cover. Return fire shredded the wall behind her. Maya rolled, came up shooting. Controlled bursts. Another contractor stumbled, fell. "Download at 50%, Webb's voice in her ear. More contractors coming up the stairwell. Maya could hear their boots pounding on concrete. 6, maybe 8. She was outnumbered, outgunned, alone. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. When you're outnumbered, change the math. Make them come to you one at a time. Maya fell back toward the server room, drew the contractors after her, used doorways and corners to create choke points, picked them off one by one as they tried to advance. 60%. Gunfire erupted behind her. Webb had joined the fight, firing from the server room doorway. Between them, they created a crossfire that stopped the contractor advance cold. 70%. A grenade bounced down the hallway. Maya saw it, reacted without thinking, grabbed the device, threw it back. The explosion took out 2 more contractors and collapsed a section of ceiling. 80%. Maya's magazine ran empty. She dropped it, slammed in a fresh one. Her hands were steady, her breathing controlled. Her father had trained her for this, had prepared her for exactly this moment. 90%. More contractors coming. They were endless. An army sent to stop 2 people. Maya, Webb's voice was urgent. I've got something. The second payment. The $500, $1,000. I can see where it went. Who? It's... A bullet took Webb in the shoulder. He spun, crashed against the server rack, slid to the floor. Webb! Maya sprinted toward him, firing as she ran. Reached him just as the download hit 97%. Pull the drive, Webb gasped. Get it out. She yanked the drive free, stuffed it in her pocket, then grabbed Webb's arm, hauled him to his feet. Can you walk? Do I have a choice? They ran. Down the corridor away from the contractors, toward the stairwell at the far end of the building. Cruz! Maya shouted into her radio. We need extraction. North stairwell. On my way, Cruz's voice. But you've got a problem. More vehicles arriving. They're surrounding the building. How many? Counting at least 20 hostiles. You're boxed in. Maya's mind raced. 20 contractors. 1 wounded teammate. 1 stairwell that was probably already covered. Roof, she said. Can you get to the roof? Already moving. 2 minutes. When they hit the stairwell, climbed. Webb was slowing, blood streaming from his shoulder, but he kept moving, kept fighting. 14th floor. 15th. Roof access. Maya kicked the door open. Night air hit her face. The city spread out below, indifferent to the violence happening above it. Cruz was there, rising from a prone position rifle slung over his shoulder. Helicopters inbound, he said. Harrison called in a favor. 2 minutes out. We don't have 2 minutes. The stairwell door burst open. Contractors poured onto the roof. Maya pushed Webb behind an air conditioning unit, turned to face the threat. 6 against 2. Terrible odds. But Maya had stopped counting. She moved. That flowing, impossible technique her father had created. The thing that made her unlike any other fighter. She closed distance before the first contractor could aim. Disarmed him with a strike to the wrist. Used his body as a shield against the second contractor's fire. Cruz's rifle cracked. A third contractor dropped. Maya spun, kicked, struck. A fourth contractor went down with a broken knee. The fifth tried to grab her. She slipped his grip, drove her elbow into his throat. He collapsed, choking. The sixth raised his weapon, aimed directly at her chest. A shot rang out. The contractor fell. Behind him, Webb stood on shaking legs, his good hand holding a smoking pistol. You're welcome, he gasped. The helicopter appeared over the roofline. Harrison's voice over the radio. Get on, now. They ran. Cruz supporting Webb, Maya covering their retreat. More contractors were coming through the stairwell door. Bullets whined past her head. She reached the helicopter. Hands grabbed her, pulled her inside. The aircraft lifted off, banking hard, accelerating away from the building. Below, contractors fired uselessly at the retreating aircraft. Their target was gone. Maya slumped against the helicopter wall, breathing hard. Webb was beside her, Oates already working on his shoulder wound. "Did we get it?" Harrison shouted over the rotor noise. Maya pulled out the drive, held it up. "We got it." "The second payment," Webb said through gritted teeth. "I saw the recipient before I got hit." Everyone leaned closer. "Who?" Maya demanded. "Who killed my father?" Webb's face was gray with pain and blood loss, but his eyes were clear. "The payment went to an account in the Cayman Islands. Same bank, different holder." He paused, coughing. "The beneficial owner is listed as a shell company called Ghost Protocol LLC. Maya felt ice form in her stomach. Ghost Protocol. "Named after your father, I think. Sick joke." Webb's voice was fading. "But the company's registered agent, the person who actually controls it, who?" Webb looked at her with something like sympathy. "Luther Kane." The name hit like a bullet. Luther Kane. Her father's teammate. The weapons specialist who had retired to Montana, who lived 30 miles from Maya's childhood home, who had been watching her for 8 years. "No," Maya whispered. "That's not possible." "The records don't lie," Webb said. "Kane received $500,000 3 days after your father died. Payment for services rendered." Maya's mind reeled. Kane had been at her father's funeral, had stood beside her as they lowered the empty casket into the ground, had told her that Ghost was a hero, that his sacrifice meant something. And the whole time, he had been the one who pulled the trigger. "We need to get to Montana," Maya said, her voice cold. "Now." Harrison shook his head. "We need to regroup, analyze the data, plan our next move." "There is no next move. Kane killed my father. I'm going to find him, and I'm going to make him tell me why." "Maya, don't." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Don't tell me to be patient. Don't tell me to be careful. That man murdered my father. He's been living 30 miles from my home for 8 years, watching me, waiting." She looked at the drive in her hand. "Now I'm going to return the favor?" The helicopter banked toward the airport. Below, Phoenix glittered like scattered diamonds. Indifferent, beautiful, completely unaware that the hunt had just changed direction. Luther Kane had killed Ghost Reeves, and now Ghost's daughter was coming for him. The flight to Montana took 4 hours. Maya didn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Luther Kane's face at her father's funeral. The sympathy in his voice. The hand on her shoulder as she wept. All of it lies. Every word. Every gesture. The man who murdered her father had stood beside her and pretended to mourn. "We need a plan," Harrison said from across the aisle. "We can't just storm Kane's property." "Why not?" "Because he's expecting us. The moment we hit Aegis, Ashworth would have warned him. Kane knows we're coming." Maya turned to look at Harrison. Her eyes were cold, empty. "Good. Let him prepare. Let him think he has the advantage." "Maya, listen to me." Harrison leaned forward, his scarred face intense. "Kane was one of the best operators I ever worked with. Weapons specialist, combat veteran. He's killed more people than most soldiers have seen. So did my father. And Kane killed him. By surprise, from behind, while Ghost was surrendering." Harrison's voice hardened. "Kane's a coward. A traitor. But he's also dangerous. We underestimate him. We end up dead." Cruz spoke up from behind them. "The chief's right. We need to be smart about this." "Smart got my father killed," Maya's voice cracked. He trusted the system, trusted his chain of command, trusted his teammates. Look where it got him. And revenge will get you the same place. Harrison reached out, put a hand on her arm. Your father wouldn't want you to throw your life away. My father wanted justice. He died trying to expose the truth. Maya pulled away. I'm going to finish what he started. Then finish it right. Harrison's eyes bored into hers. We go in smart. We gather evidence. We make Kane confess. And then we take him down. Legally. Publicly. So the whole world knows what he did. Maya was silent for a long moment. The rage inside her wanted blood, wanted to feel Kane's life drain away under her hands, wanted revenge for 8 years of grief and lies. But her father's voice echoed in her memory. Different from the tactical training. Softer. Wiser. Justice isn't about what you want, Lily. It's about what's right. Fine, she said finally. We do it your way. But if Kane tries to run, if he tries to fight, I'm ending him myself. Harrison nodded slowly. Fair enough. They landed in Billings at 0600, rented 2 vehicles, drove toward the Beartooth Mountains where Kane had built his fortress of solitude. Crane called during the drive. His voice was weaker than before, barely audible. Maya, I have new information. What is it? Ashworth's moving. He's called in his entire network, every asset he has. They're converging on Montana. Maya felt ice form in her stomach. How many? At least 30, maybe more. Professional contractors, former military, the best money can buy. He's protecting Kane. He's eliminating witnesses. Crane coughed violently. Kane knows too much. Ashworth can't afford to let him talk. He's sending his people to clean house. So we have competition. You have a war. Crane's voice was fading. Maya, listen to me. I've uploaded everything to secure servers, financial records, communications, the helmet cam footage. If I don't check in every 12 hours, it all releases automatically. Dead man's switch. Insurance. If they kill me, the truth still comes out. Another cough. Same goes for you. I've set up accounts in your name. If you don't survive, everything publishes anyway. Maya gripped the phone tighter. I'm going to survive. I hope so, but just in case. Crane's voice cracked. Your father would be proud of you, Maya. I want you to know that. Don't say goodbye yet. We're not done. No, we're not. A pause. But I'm running out of time. The doctors say days now, maybe hours. Maya closed her eyes. Another loss. Another person this investigation was destroying. Hold on, she said quietly. Just a little longer. I'll get the confession. I'll bring down Ashworth. And then you can rest. I'll try. Crane's voice was barely a whisper now. Good luck, Maya. Make them pay. The line went dead. Maya set the phone down, looked out at the Montana landscape rolling past. Mountains her father had loved. Forests where he'd taught her to hunt and track and survive. And somewhere ahead, the man who had taken him from her. They reached Kane's property at 0800, a compound in the wilderness. High fences, security cameras, the kind of place a paranoid man builds when he has secrets worth killing for. He knows we're here, Cruz said, studying the property through binoculars. Camera just panned toward our position. Good. Maya checked her weapon. Let him watch. Harrison's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, his face going pale. Understood. He hung up. That was my contact at the Pentagon. Ashworth's men are 20 minutes out. Helicopter convoy, 3 birds. Then we move now. Maya started toward the fence. Harrison grabbed her arm. Maya, wait. If we go in there with Ashworth's people coming, we're caught in a crossfire. If we wait, Kane disappears. She pulled free. I'm not losing him. Not when I'm this close. She moved toward the fence. After a moment, the others followed. Harrison, Cruz, Oates, Blackwell, Webb, his shoulder bandaged but his weapon ready. The fence was electrified. Maya studied it for 3 seconds, then pulled out a device from her pack. Electromagnetic pulse. Localized. Her father had taught her how to build it. The fence died. They cut through. The compound was eerily quiet. No guards, no movement, just the wind through the pines and the distant cry of a hawk. It's a trap, Cruz muttered. Obviously. Maya kept moving. Stay sharp. They reached the main building, a large cabin heavily fortified, designed for defense. Maya checked the door. Unlocked. Definitely a trap. She pushed it open anyway. Inside, Luther Kane sat in a leather chair facing the door. He was older than Maya remembered. Gray hair. Weathered face. But his eyes were the same. Cold. Calculating. The eyes of a killer. And he was smiling. Hello, Maya, he said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. I've been expecting you. Maya's weapon came up, aimed at his chest. Don't move. I'm not going anywhere. Kane spread his hands. No weapons, no tricks. I just want to talk. Talk? Maya's voice shook with rage. You murdered my father. You shot him in the back while he was surrendering. And you want to talk? I want to explain. Kane's smile faded. You deserve to know the truth. I know the truth. You took $500,000 to kill the best man who ever lived. The best man who ever lived was about to destroy everything. Kane leaned forward. Your father wasn't the hero you think he was, Maya. He was a threat, a loose cannon, someone who was about to expose secrets that could have started a war. He was exposing treason. He was exposing national security operations that he didn't understand. Kane's voice hardened. Your father found pieces of a puzzle and jumped to conclusions. He thought he was fighting corruption. He was actually threatening to destroy 20 years of careful work. Selling weapons to terrorists isn't careful work. It's treason. Selling weapons to create controlled threats is statecraft. Kane stood slowly, hands still raised. The world isn't black and white, Maya. Your father never understood that. He saw good guys and bad guys, heroes and villains, but the real world is full of shades of gray. The real world didn't put a bullet in his back. You did. Kane's expression flickered. Guilt, regret, Maya couldn't tell. I did what I was ordered to do, he said quietly. Ashworth gave the command. I followed orders. You could have refused. And ended up like ghost dead in a desert, my family threatened, my reputation destroyed. Kane shook his head. I made a choice, a terrible choice, but I survived. So did I. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. And now I'm going to make sure you don't. Before you do that, there's something you should know. Kane's voice changed, became urgent. Ashworth's men are coming, 30 of them, professional killers. They're not here to capture me, Maya. They're here to eliminate everyone who knows the truth. I know. You know, but you don't understand. Ashworth can't afford witnesses. He's going to kill Kane, kill you, kill everyone who's ever been connected to this investigation. Then he's going to bury the evidence and walk away clean. That's not going to happen. It will happen unless we work together. Kane stepped closer. I have evidence, Maya. Real evidence. recording of Ashworth ordering the kill, communications proving the full extent of the network, names of everyone involved. Where, safe, hidden, insurance in case Ashworth ever turned on me. Kane's eyes met hers. Help me survive the next hour, and I'll give you everything. Enough to bring down Ashworth. Enough to expose the entire network. Enough to give your father the justice he deserved. Maya stared at him. The man who killed her father was offering to help her, asking for her protection. It was obscene. Impossible. And yet, why should I trust you? Because you don't have a choice. Kane pointed toward the window. Ashworth's helicopters will be here in 10 minutes. You can't fight 30 men alone. But together with my knowledge of this property and your team's skills, we might survive. And after you expect me to just let you walk away? I expect you to arrest me, put me on trial, let the world see what I did and why. Kane's voice cracked. I'm tired, Maya. Tired of running. Tired of hiding. Tired of living with what I did to Ghost. You should be. I am. For the first time, Kane looked old. Broken. Your father was my friend. The best friend I ever had. And I killed him because a man in a suit told me to. Because I was scared. Because I chose survival over loyalty. Tears formed in his eyes. Maya watched, unmoved. I don't expect forgiveness, Kane continued. I don't deserve it, but I can give you the truth. I can help you finish what Ghost started, and maybe, just maybe, I can start to pay for what I did. Harrison stepped forward. Maya, we don't have time for this. Make a decision. The sound of helicopters reached them, distant, but growing louder. Maya looked at Kane. At the man who had destroyed her family, who had lived a lie for 8 years, who was now offering to help her bring down the real enemy. Where's the evidence? She demanded. Underground bunker, north side of the property, reinforced, defensible. Kane's voice was urgent. We can hold out there, access the recordings, transmit them before Ashworth's men breach. If you're lying, I'm not. I swear on whatever honor I have left. Kane met her eyes. Ghost deserved better than what I gave him. Let me give you what he wanted. The truth. All of it. The helicopters were closer now. Minutes away. Maya made her decision. Show us. They moved fast. Out the back of the cabin, across the compound, Kane led them to a concealed hatch in the ground, hidden by brush and camouflage. Biometric lock, he said, pressing his palm to a scanner. Only responds to me. The hatch opened. A ladder descended into darkness. Go, Maya ordered. Everyone down, now. They dropped into the bunker one by one. Oates first, then Blackwell. Cruz. Harrison. Webb moving slowly with his wounded shoulder. Kane went next. Maya last pulling the hatch closed behind her. The bunker was small, but well-equipped. Monitors showing camera feeds from around the property, weapons racks, communications equipment, and in the corner a server humming quietly. The recordings are there, Kane said, pointing. Everything Ashworth ever said to me, every order, every threat, every promise. Cruz was already at the monitors. We've got company, 3 helicopters, setting down on the North Ridge. How many men? Harrison asked. Counting, 32. All armed. Tactical gear. Maya turned to Kane. You have weapons here. Enough to start a small war. Kane moved to the weapons rack. Assault rifles, grenades, anti-material rifles. I've been preparing for this day for years. Then let's give them a welcome they won't forget. For the next 5 minutes they prepared, positioned, planned. Kane knew his property intimately, every sight line, every approach, every defensive position. He shared it all without hesitation. Maya watched him work, tried to reconcile this competent, focused operator with the man who had murdered her father. Failed. "They're moving," Cruz reported. "Coming from the north and east. Flanking maneuver." "Expected." Kane checked his rifle. "The bunker entrance is hidden. They'll search the cabin first. Buy us time." "Time for what?" Webb asked. "For this." Kane activated the server. Screens lit up, files opened, audio recordings, video, documents, and in the center a single file, labeled Ghost Protocol Authorization. Kane clicked it. Ashworth's voice filled the bunker. "Ghost has become a liability. He knows too much. He's going to talk." Another voice. Kane's. "What do you want me to do?" "What do you think? Eliminate him. Make it look like combat. Bury the evidence." "He's my friend. He's a threat. To the network. To the country. To everything we've built." Ashworth's voice hardened. $500,000, Kane. That's the price. Accept it, or join him. A long pause. Then Kane's voice broken. "Understood." The recording ended. Maya stood frozen. Hearing it was different from knowing. The cold transaction that had ended her father's life, the price put on his head, the casual way Ashworth had ordered murder. "There's more," Kane said quietly. "Hours of recordings. Every conversation I ever had with Ashworth, every order, every payment." "Upload it." Maya's voice was steel. "All of it. Send it to Crane's servers, to the news organizations, to everyone." "Already happening." Kane pointed to a progress bar on the screen. 60% complete. "Contact." Cruz's voice was sharp. "They're approaching the cabin. Breaching now." On the monitors, they watched Ashworth's men swarm through Kane's home. Tactical precision. Room-by-room clearance. Finding nothing. "They'll search the grounds next," Kane said. "The bunker's hidden, but they'll find it eventually." "How long?" 20 minutes, maybe 30. "The upload will be done by then." "And then what?" Webb asked. "We're still trapped down here with 30 killers above us." Maya smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "Then we make them pay for every inch." The wait was excruciating. Upload progress crawling. 70%, 75%, 80%. Above ground. Ashworth's men spread out searching, hunting. Harrison moved to stand beside Maya. "If we don't make it out of here, we'll make it." "If we don't," he repeated. "I want you to know something. Ghost wasn't just my teammate. He was my brother. The closest thing to family I had in this world." "I know. When he died, part of me died too. I spent 8 years wondering if I could have done something, if I could have saved him." Harrison's voice cracked. "Now I know the truth, and I'm going to make sure it costs them everything." Maya looked at him, saw the grief, the guilt, the determination. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for believing me, for helping me. Thank Ghost. He's the one who taught me what loyalty means." The upload hit 90%. "Movement," Cruz reported. 3 men approaching the bunker location. They've found the hatch. "Shit," Kane grabbed his rifle. "They're early. Can we hold them off?" "For a while, but if they call in reinforcements, then we make sure they can't." Maya moved to the ladder. "Cruz, you're with me. Everyone else hold the bunker. Protect that upload." "Maya, wait," Harrison started, but she was already climbing. Cruz right behind her. They emerged into chaos. 3 contractors stood near the hatch, weapons raised. They hadn't expected anyone to come out. Fatal mistake. Maya hit the first one before he could react. A flowing strike that crushed his windpipe. He went down, choking. Cruz shot the second. Maya took the third, a spinning kick that shattered his knee, followed by a palm strike that ended him permanently. 3 seconds. 3 down. More coming, Cruz said, scanning the tree line. Northeast. 5 men. Maya dropped into cover. Waited. Watched. The contractors moved carefully. Professional. But they were in unfamiliar territory, and Maya had spent her childhood learning these mountains. Split up, she whispered. Draw them toward the ravine. I'll flank. Cruz nodded. Moved right. Started firing. The contractors responded, advancing toward his position. Maya circled left, silent, invisible. Her father's ghost moving through the forest. She hit them from behind. 2 down before they knew she was there. A third turned, weapon rising. Maya caught his arm twisted, broke. He screamed. She silenced him with a strike to the throat. Cruz finished the last 2. Clear, he reported. Not for long. Maya could hear more men moving through the forest. Back to the bunker. Defensive positions. They ran. Reached the hatch just as Webb's voice crackled over the radio. Upload complete. It's done. Everything's out there. Maya felt something shift inside her. Relief. Vindication. Hope. The truth was free. No matter what happened now, the world would know what Ashworth had done. What Kane had done. What her father had died trying to expose. Everyone up, she ordered. Time to end this. They emerged from the bunker together. 6 operators against an army. Impossible odds. But Maya had stopped counting. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Ashworth's voice. Cold. Furious. You've destroyed everything. I've exposed everything. There's a difference. Do you have any idea what you've done, the chaos you've caused, the damage to national security? I've told the truth. Something you've been running from for 20 years. Silence on the line. Then Ashworth laughed. A bitter, broken sound. Truth. Your father talked about truth too. Right before Kane put a bullet in him. And now Kane's on my side. Funny how that works. Kane's a traitor. Like Ghost. Like you. Ashworth's voice hardened. But it doesn't matter. My men will find you. Kill you. And I'll find a way to bury this like I've buried everything else. No. Maya's voice was ice. You won't. She hung up. They're pulling back, Cruz reported, confusion in his voice. Ashworth's men. They're retreating. Maya watched the monitors. He was right. The contractors were withdrawing, loading into helicopters, leaving. Why? Harrison asked. Because the upload went public. Kane answered from behind them. Ashworth knows he's finished. He's running. Then we follow. Maya started toward the vehicles. We finish this. Her phone buzzed. Text from Crane's number, but not Crane's words. Admiral Crane passed away 10 minutes ago. His final message, tell Maya I kept my promise. Now keep yours. Maya stopped. Read the message again. Let the grief wash over her, then pushed it aside. Crane was gone. But his work would survive, and so would hers. Arlington, she said quietly. Harrison looked at her. What? We end this at Arlington. My father's grave. We make Ashworth confess in front of the whole world. She turned to face them. And then we bury him. The flight to Washington took 5 hours. Maya spent them staring at her father's photograph on her phone. The one from her 12th birthday. Both of them grinning. His hand on her shoulder. A lifetime ago. Crane was dead. The man who had spent his final months fighting for justice. Gone. But his dead man's switch had worked. Every major news organization was running the story. Ashworth's name was everywhere. The recordings, the financial trails, the confession. The world finally knew the truth, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. "He's gone underground," Harrison reported, checking his phone. "Ashworth didn't report to the Pentagon this morning. His home is empty. No one knows where he is." "He's running," Cruz said. "Smart move." "He's not running." Maya's voice was certain. "He's planning. Men like Ashworth don't run. They counterattack. With what his network's exposed, his assets are being arrested. He's finished. He still has resources. Money. Loyalists who haven't been identified yet." Maya looked at Harrison. "And he still has his pride. That's what will bring him to us. How? We give him something he can't resist." Maya pulled out her phone. "A chance to win?" She composed a message, sent it to every contact Crane had identified in Ashworth's network. "General Ashworth, you know who I am. You know what I've done. But we both know this isn't over. Meet me tonight. Midnight. Arlington National Cemetery. My father's grave. Come alone, and I'll give you what you really want. A chance to end this personally, or hide like the coward you are. Your choice." She hit send. Harrison stared at her. "You're baiting him. I'm finishing this. He'll bring an army. Let him." Maya's ice-blue eyes were steady. "I'll be ready." They landed at Reagan National at 1800 hours. 6 hours until midnight. 6 hours to prepare. Crane's network had left them resources, safe houses, weapons, contacts, and one crucial ally. FBI Special Agent Rebecca Torres, who had been building a case against Ashworth for 18 months. Torres met them at a warehouse in Alexandria. Mid-50s. Sharp eyes, the look of someone who had seen too much corruption and refused to accept it. "Maya Reeves," Torres extended her hand. "Admiral Crane spoke highly of you." "He spoke highly of you too, said you were the only person in the FBI he trusted." That list got shorter every year. Torres looked at the team behind Maya. "I've been tracking Ashworth's movements. He's not running, he's mobilizing." "How many men?" "At least 40, maybe more. Professional contractors, former military, the same people who hit you in Phoenix." Torres paused. "He's also called in favors from people still in government. There are warrants being prepared. For all of you." Cruz swore. "We're the ones exposing corruption and we're getting arrested. Ashworth has friends in high places, friends who are scrambling to protect themselves." Torres smiled grimly. "But so do I. I've delayed the warrants for 24 hours. After that, you're on your own." 24 hours is all we need." Maya stepped forward. "Tonight, Ashworth confesses. On camera. Live to the world. Then it's over." "You think he'll confess?" "I think he's arrogant enough to believe he can still win. I think he hates me enough to want to see me dead personally. And I think his pride won't let him hide while a 22-year-old woman calls him a coward." Torres studied her for a long moment. "Crane said you were like your father. He was wrong." "How so? You're more dangerous." They spent the remaining hours preparing. Torres provided cameras, tiny wireless units that would stream everything to servers around the world. Harrison contacted his network. Former SEALs who owed Ghost their lives. Men who would fight without asking questions. By 2200, they had 12 operators positioned around Arlington National Cemetery. Snipers, spotters, quick reaction teams. Not enough to match Ashworth's army, but enough to make him pay for every inch. Kane stood apart from the others, his wrists zip-tied. prisoner and ally, murderer and witness. "You should kill me," he said quietly as Maya passed. She stopped. "Why?" "Because I deserve it. Because I killed your father. Because every breath I take is an insult to his memory." Maya looked at him, the broken man who had destroyed her family, who had lived with his guilt for 8 years, who had finally chosen to help make it right. "Dying is easy," she said. "Living with what you did, facing trial, spending the rest of your life in a cell knowing the whole world sees you for what you are. That's harder. Is that supposed to be mercy? It's supposed to be justice." Maya started to walk away, then stopped. "My father believed in redemption. He believed people could change, could become better than their worst moments. Do you believe that?" Maya was silent for a long moment. "I believe he would want me to try." She walked away, left Kane staring after her with tears streaming down his face. At 23:30, they took their positions. Maya stood at her father's grave. Captain Daniel Reeves, United States Navy SEAL, 1978-2016, for valor and honor. The words felt different now, not a lie anymore, a truth that had been buried for 8 years finally coming into the light. Harrison's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Movement, multiple vehicles approaching from the south, counting 40+ hostiles." "Understood." "Maya, this is suicide. Even with our people, we're not here to fight." Maya's voice was calm. "We're here to record. Everything Ashworth says goes out live. Torres has the stream running, 30 million people watching. And if he just kills you, then 30 million people watch him murder an unarmed woman at her father's grave." Maya smiled grimly. "Either way, he loses." The vehicles stopped. Doors opened. Men emerged. Tactical gear. Weapons. An army of killers spreading across the cemetery like a dark tide. And in the center, walking forward alone, General Victor Ashworth. He was older than Maya expected. Silver hair, distinguished face. The kind of man who looked like he belonged in history books, not in handcuffs. "Miss Reeves," his voice carried across the silent cemetery. "You're either very brave or very stupid. My father said the same thing once, right before he beat you at your own game." Ashworth's expression flickered. "Your father was a fool. A naive idealist who thought truth mattered more than power. He was right. He was dead." Ashworth stopped 10 feet away. His men spread out behind him, weapons ready. "And soon so will you be." Maya didn't move, didn't reach for her weapon, just stood there still as stone. 30 million people are watching this, General. Every word you say is being broadcast live. Every action you take is being recorded. She gestured at the darkness around them. Hidden cameras, satellite uplinks, servers in 12 countries. You can't stop it. Ashworth's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Maya pulled out her phone, showed him the screen. A live stream. His face. Her face. The cemetery. Millions of viewers, comments scrolling faster than she could read. "Even if you kill me, the truth survives. Even if you kill everyone here, the recordings survive. You've already lost, Ashworth. The only question is how much you lose." Ashworth stared at the screen, at the evidence of his defeat. For a moment, Maya thought he might simply order his men to fire, end it in blood and chaos. But his pride wouldn't let him. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "Confession. Full. Complete. On the record." Maya's voice hardened. "Tell the world what you did. Tell them about Prometheus, about the weapons sales, about the billions of dollars, about my father. And if I do, then I let you live, let you face trial, let the justice system do what it's supposed to do. The justice system I've controlled for 20 years. The justice system that's watching right now, along with 30 million witnesses. Maya stepped closer. You're finished, Ashworth. Your network's exposed. Your people are being arrested. Your friends are running for cover. This is your last chance to tell your side of the story. Ashworth laughed, a bitter, broken sound. My side of the story. You want to know my side? I want the world to know. Fine. Ashworth straightened, drew himself up with the dignity of a man who had once commanded armies. I did it. All of it. 20 years of weapons sales. Billions of dollars. Hundreds of contacts across the globe. The words hit like bullets. Maya felt her heart rate spike. This was it. The confession she had fought for. Killed for. Nearly died for. I did it because this country needed enemies, Ashworth continued. After the Cold War, America grew soft, complacent. We forgot what made us strong. We forgot that power requires vigilance, sacrifice, blood. You sold weapons to terrorists. I created controlled threats, enemies we could fight, enemies we could defeat. Enemies that kept our military sharp, our defense industry profitable, our nation prepared. Ashworth's voice rose with conviction. I kept America strong. Every weapon I sold, every conflict I facilitated, every life lost was in service of something greater. Greater than my father's life. Ashworth's expression flickered. Ghost Reeves was a good man, a patriot, one of the finest operators I ever knew. You killed him. I ordered him eliminated. Ashworth's voice hardened. He discovered my network. He was going to expose everything. Destroy 20 years of work. Weaken America at a critical moment. He was going to tell the truth. He was going to commit treason. Ashworth stepped forward. The truth isn't always what's right, Miss Reeves. Sometimes the truth is dangerous. Sometimes the truth gets people killed. So you killed him first. I made a choice. A terrible choice. But the only choice that would protect what I'd built. Ashworth paused. Kane pulled the trigger, but I gave the order. I accept responsibility for that. Maya felt tears forming. Fought them back. Why, he was your friend, your brother in arms. Why? Because he forced me to choose between him and everything else. Ashworth's voice cracked. I chose everything else. I chose wrong. Yes, you did. Maya reached into her pocket, pulled out her phone again, showed him the viewer count. 47 million people just heard you confess to treason. To murder, to 20 years of crimes against the nation you claim to serve. She lowered the phone. It's over, Ashworth. Drop your weapons. Surrender. Surrender. Ashworth laughed again, desperate now. To whom the FBI, the military, they're all compromised. They're all part of my network. Not all of them. Torres's voice came from behind him. Ashworth spun to find the FBI agent approaching with a dozen federal agents. Weapons drawn. Victor Ashworth, you're under arrest for treason, conspiracy, murder, and about 50 other charges I'll think of on the way to the field office. Ashworth's men raised their weapons. For a moment, the cemetery balanced on the edge of violence. Don't, Maya said quietly. 47 million witnesses. You fire, and there's nowhere on earth you can hide. The contractors looked at each other. At the cameras they now realized were everywhere, at the world watching their every move. One by one they lowered their weapons. Torres moved forward, handcuffs ready. "General Victor Ashworth, you have the right to remain silent." Maya watched as they led him away. The man who had ordered her father's death, the architect of 20 years of corruption, reduced to a prisoner in handcuffs surrounded by the evidence of his crimes. It was done. Harrison approached her, put a hand on her shoulder. "You did it, Maya. Ghost would be proud." "Would he?" Maya looked at her father's grave. "I killed people tonight. I became the thing he was trying to stop." "You became the thing that stopped them." Harrison squeezed her shoulder. "There's a difference." Cruz joined them. Then Oates. Blackwell. Webb, his shoulder still bandaged. One by one the team gathered around Ghost's grave. And finally Kane. Still zip-tied. Still a prisoner. But standing among them. "I'm sorry," he said to the headstone, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry, Ghost. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough. I'm sorry I chose fear over loyalty. I'm sorry I killed the best man I ever knew." Maya watched him weep. Felt something shift inside her. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But something softer than hatred. "He forgives you," she said quietly. Kane looked at her, startled. "How do you know?" "Because that's who he was. He believed in redemption, in second chances, in the possibility of becoming better than our worst moments." Maya paused. "I'm trying to believe that too." Torres returned her expression grim but satisfied. "Ashworth's in custody. We're already getting calls from other suspects wanting to make deals. The network's collapsing faster than we can process the arrests. How many? Dozens so far. More every hour." Torres looked at Maya. "You did something remarkable tonight. Something a lot of people said was impossible." "I had help. You had courage. That's what mattered." Torres extended her hand. "Your father would be proud of you, Miss Reeves. I hope you know that." Maya shook her hand. "I'm starting to believe it." 3 months later, the congressional hearing room was packed. Cameras everywhere, reporters fighting for position. The Senate Intelligence Committee seated at their elevated bench, waiting. Maya sat at the witness table. Calm, composed, ready. The chairman called her name. She raised her hand. Took the oath. "Miss Reeves, in your own words, please tell this committee what happened to your father." Maya looked at the cameras, at the millions of people watching, at the chance to finally completely tell the truth. "My name is Maya Reeves. I'm 22 years old. 8 years ago, my father was murdered by someone he trusted. This is his story, and this is how I brought his killers to justice." She spoke for 3 hours, told them everything. The investigation, the infiltration, the firefights, the confession, all of it. When she finished, the room was silent. Then the chairman stood. Slowly, with visible effort, and saluted. One by one, the other senators rose, joined him. A standing ovation in a congressional hearing. Unprecedented. "Miss Reeves," the chairman said, his voice rough with emotion, "your father was a hero, the kind this nation produces too rarely. And you have proven that heroism is inherited. This committee thanks you for your service, for your courage, for refusing to let justice die." Maya stood, returned the salute, felt tears streaming down her face. She had done it, finished what her father started, exposed the truth, delivered justice. Ghost Reeves was avenged. The trials dominated the news for the next year. Ashworth, Kane, 47 other conspirators. The largest corruption case in American military history. Ashworth was convicted on all counts, life without parole. He showed no emotion when the verdict was read, simply stared straight ahead, empty broken. Kane pleaded guilty, testified against everyone else, received 25 years in exchange for his cooperation. Maya watched from the gallery as they led him away. He looked at her once, nodded slightly. She nodded back, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement, of guilt, of redemption attempted if not achieved. Torres was promoted. Harrison returned to active duty. Cruz Oates, Blackwell, Webb, all received commendations for their role in exposing the conspiracy. And Maya returned to Montana, to the cabin her father had built, to the mountains where he had taught her everything she knew. She stood on the porch in the pre-dawn cold, watching the sun paint the peaks gold, just like she had done as a child with her father beside her. He was gone. But she felt him here. In the training he had given her, in the courage he had inspired, in the justice she had achieved in his name. Her phone buzzed. Harrison. We're establishing a new unit, off the books, hunting the kind of corruption that official channels can't touch. And you want me to join? I want you to lead it. Harrison paused. Ghost always said you had something special, something that couldn't be taught. I didn't understand what he meant until I watched you work. Maya looked out at the mountains, at the life she had built in her father's shadow, at the future she had never imagined. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. The world needs people like you, Maya. People who fight for what's right no matter the cost. She hung up, stood in the silence of the mountains, remembered her father's voice. Justice isn't about what you want, Lily. It's about what's right. Since she had spent 8 years seeking justice, had found it, had delivered it. Now it was time to become something more. 1 year later, a new training class assembled at Naval Special Warfare Command. Young operators, eager, hungry, ready to become the best of the best. Their instructor stood before them, small, compact, ice blue eyes that saw everything. My name is Maya Reeves, she said. My father was Captain Daniel Reeves, call sign Ghost. He taught me everything I know about combat, about survival, about what it means to serve something greater than yourself. She paused, looking at each of them in turn. Now I'm going to teach you. A young recruit raised his hand. Ma'am, is it true you took down 5 SEALs barehanded in 63 seconds? Maya smiled, the same cold smile her father had worn before every impossible mission. 63 seconds exactly, my father's record. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to steel. By the time I'm done with you, every one of you will be able to do the same. The recruit gulped. Ma'am, with respect, that seems impossible. Maya's smile widened. My father taught me that impossible is just a word. Now line up. We start in 5 minutes. She turned away, walked toward the training ground where Ghost had once trained her, where his legacy continued, where his daughter would create the next generation of warriors. Ghost Reeves was gone, but his spirit lived on. In the justice she had delivered, in the truth she had exposed, and in the warriors she would train. His daughter, his legacy, his proof that some things are worth fighting for, some things are worth dying for, and some things are worth living for. Maya Reeves was all 3.